Hello everybody, thank you for joining me today for What I Love About Watercolor. Last time I started this lovely wet on wet background, and today I'm going to show you about glazing and why I love glazing. So I've lived with this for a little while, and I decided it felt like there was a turtle swimming around in here. So I'm going to try to pull this turtle out using glazing. I have drawn my turtle shape in there, and we'll see if we can find it and give it some definition. I'm going to be using the same colors that I used last time, and those are my three favorite primary colors. And they happen to also be transparent colors. And transparent colors are really important when you're doing glazing or layering and you want to show what's underneath. And I've got all this lovely pattern and stuff that I don't want to lose in watercolors. Now, I'm going to be using Indian yellow. That's my warm yellow. I'm going to be using phthalo blue. It's a nice cool blue. And I'm going to be using quinacridone magenta. I've got them still in my little well here, and I'm going to stir them up with my little nylon brush. Of course, as I told you last time, saving my good brushes. Now, I don't need the saturation on this to be too strong. So you can hardly see that one. Probably needs a little bit more. So I'm going to add a little bit more yellow to it. I don't want them quite as strong as when I was doing the wet on wet. Wet on wet, the colors move, they dissipate quite a bit, so we can make them a little bit stronger. But when we're glazing, we really want to have them quite transparent, quite see-through. That's probably a good one. Let's stir up our magenta. I can tell that I already need a little bit more of that magenta in there just to make it a little bit stronger. Now, how do you tell if a pigment is transparent or not? Well, some pigments will tell you. Some manufacturers put that information on the tube. Well, that's a very strong one. Let's add a little bit more water to that. So some manufacturers tell you, and if we look at the quinacridone magenta, you may be able to see, if it's not reflecting too much, there's a little box. Where is it? Right here by my thing there. That little box is transparent. So that's how I know that that quinacridone magenta is transparent. However, once I know that quinacridone magenta is a transparent pigment, it will be transparent in any brand of paint that I buy. Unfortunately, Daniel Smith does not tell you if pigments are transparent. You're going to have to look that up online. Now, I've almost got my glazing mixtures ready. These are my diluted mixtures. A little more phthalo blue. You can always add a little bit more water if you find they're a little bit too thick, too dark. The whole idea in glazing is we want the light to bounce. We want the light to bounce through the paper. Now you can, if I hold this up, you can kind of see the paper shining through these, and that's what we want. If we go too dark, then we're not going to get that light bouncing back. And the reason we want that light bouncing back is that it gives luminosity to the colors and the paints that you're building up. And you can do this in other media as well. Getting my blue a little bit stronger, but I'm still getting a lot of that paper shining through. So I'm using 3 transparent pigments, and glazing does not work very well if you use pigments that are opaque, ones that you can't see through. Okay, now I've got my little turtle here, and I don't know if you can see my pencil lines or not. And I've tried to be strategic in where I'm going to place it. I've turned it around so that you can see it, and I've kind of kept the lights at the top and some of the darker colors down the bottom. And I'm going to use that to guide me when I'm painting on it. I'm going to work in the negative space as well. So I'm going to let the turtle be the lightest thing in the painting, and I'm going to work around its shape, darkening the area around that turtle to make the lights pop out. I'm going to try to keep the dark at the bottom and the light at the top, like it would be if it was swimming, in water. Okay, so I'm going to leave that down there so you can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to use maybe a bigger brush, one of my bigger rounder brushes, and I'm going to pick up my blue, and I'm going to come along, say its belly here. Now, I'm not using the point of my brush up like this, not like I was when I was doing the dropping in, and I'm going to come along its edge and put this light color in. Now I can still see everything. I'm going to clean my brush, and I'm just going to soften that edge. Now, I'm not at my drafting table that's a little bit elevated, and that helps if I have a little elevation to pull that around. Well, let's see if you can see that I've started to create an edge here against the bottom of the belly of that turtle. Now I might pick up another color here. Let's go with the quinacridone magenta. I'm just going to hold this a little bit, and I'm going to come around here, and I'm going to let them mix a little bit together. I'm kind of using the broad side of the brush. Now I don't want hard edges. I want this to just go away. So maybe, soften away. I'm going to take my wet brush. I just wet it, and I'm going to pull some of that away. Now, some of this is running. That's okay. My little drops are running. I'm going really quite lightly, and I'm going to have to let that little area dry now before I come back up like that. And I got a little back bleed here. So I'm going to just do that line again, and I'm going to just pull it down. Pull it down again and let it fade away. Now I also have some paper towel, soft paper towel, that I can use. Rip off a bit here, soften this a little bit here, and I'm just going to dab along there, just softening that edge, because I don't really want the hard edge happening, and it'd be good if I could keep this tilted. So now you can see, hopefully, that I've got an edge starting to happen there along that turtle. Let's come up, and I'm going to do up along the top edge now, and I'm going to keep thinking about this. I've got kind of pinky happening there. I'm going to come and go along that edge with this color. That's a color that's up in there already. I'm going to tilt it a little bit. It's always good to have the paint flowing down away from that edge. If it goes back against that edge, it's going to, and if you miss your lines, just dab it out with your little piece of paper towel. And I'm just going to pull that with a clean brush, pulling it out, keeping it tilted so this just softens and this edge goes down. Sorry. You probably can't see it because I have to tilt it towards me to do that. And I don't want it puddling back. All right, so now hopefully you can see that I've got the top and the bottom marked off, and my little turtle is starting to show itself there. Now, because I've been really free in the background, if I have a little pooling or puddling with the glazes, it doesn't really matter because my background is really, really free. I'm also working on a textured paper, which is not the best for glazing. If you really want nice smooth glazes, you're going to want to go to a very smooth paper. But I've done this wet on wet. I'm not worried too much about how smooth my glaze is because I have that lovely wet on wet watercolor in the back. And I'm going to keep some of this lovely. I might even play in there in my glaze a little bit because I do want to keep, you know, the background feeling of movement in there. Let's see. All right, so I've added a little bit of yellow up in there. When you're glazing, you have to wait for the layer that you did before to dry totally before you can layer another one over. So I often have my hair dryer set up to do that. I'm not going to do that today because that's very noisy. But I can probably come and work while that area is drying. It's puckering a little bit. While that area is drying, I can work somewhere else. So maybe I'll come and work down around this area by the head. Let's maybe pick up the red again. And I'm going to come in here where his neck is and pull over. There. All right. It'll work along that edge. Now, glazing, the other lovely thing about glazing is that it creates new colors. So you can use glazing to alter colors that you may not be totally happy with. You can see that it's darkening those colors, but if I come in here later and layer with my yellow, I can change this. I can orange that up a bit, warm it up, and I might even do that once that one is dry. All right, so I'm going to keep working around my turtle and bringing it to life. Let's see where I went here. Let's see if any of this is dry. It's a little bit damp. Maybe back up here by the back feet, by the its end of its body here. I will come and get some blue happening there. And I might not even glaze over the whole background. I just may be selective about where that's going to go. Oh, you can see now, because this area was really a lot of different colors layered in, the blue, the red, I'm getting a little bit of neutrally colored kind of happening there, but that's okay. So there's my turtle starting to show itself. And I would just keep working around my turtle, letting it dry, letting it dry. And once I've got my turtle, kind of the background around it, how I like it mostly, then I'm going to maybe come in and do some detail in the inside, in the positive space. So this is how you use glazing, and I haven't really done another layer. Let's go back and add blue, and I'll show you going over the blue. Actually, maybe let's add yellow over that blue, just so you can see how it's going to change the color. All right, so this is the blue I put on before. It's mostly dry, and I'm going to come with that light, that watered down yellow, and I'm going to pull it over that blue. And I don't have to go everywhere. Oops, that's a little wet. Maybe I'm going to blot that off with my little piece of paper towel. And now I've got this lovely green, but I've still got this lovely transparency happening in my background. I'm not getting rid of all that lovely movement. So I have a lot of control with the color, how I want to warm it up or cool that color down, make it blue-green, make it bluer, and I can just keep building and building, getting some nice darks in my background until I'm happy. So thank you very much for joining me today and seeing what I love about watercolor and how to use glazing. And if you like this live video, please like it. And you can follow me on Instagram. I'm Dixie MacUisdin, and I'm West Coast Lady Painter. So thank you very much for joining me today. Bye-bye.